Hi, I'm Elena Tanzola. I'm here in Vancouver, sitting with Mickey Fulp from the Mercenary Geologist and Rod Husband from Cipher Research. We're working on a series of discussions on the gold resource sector. The first of the series is on the cost of mining, or rather the true cost of mining. Gentlemen, the buzz on the street is mining companies are underperforming, a lot of disappointments on behalf of the shareholders. I have looked at the cash flow from operations and the net income statements from the last decade, and they indicate healthy companies. The stock charts, however, show a different story. Mickey, Rod, how do you choose the mining companies in your portfolio?
Well, personally, I don't own any big gold miners because over the last decade they haven't really performed and rewarded shareholders, and they really don't meet my risk-reward profile.
And like Mickey, at Cipher, we don't currently own any, but we've done a detailed review of several of the major gold mining companies. And very few of them actually meet a criteria that we would say are good investments currently. We'll get into the details of that later on in this series and discuss that with Mickey and get his take on the companies that we consider might fit a criteria for an investment. And the main issues that we've identified in this research is costs and reporting of costs and treatment of costs on financial statements. And the main issue around these reporting of costs is that they are unregulated, non-GAAP, and as a result, very much somewhat arbitrary for management to decide which are costs and which are not costs.
Okay, well, that sounds quite troubling. Cost is integral to making investment decisions. So what have investors had to rely on?
Well, for the last decade or so, we relied on what's called cash costs. And there were so many problems with that for investors. In 2013, the World Gold Council came in and came up with a more standardized criteria called all-in sustaining costs. But that hasn't really remedied the situation because mining companies are still kind of picking and choosing what's an all-in sustaining cost. So we have a whole slew, a whole basket of different kinds of costs, such as all-in costs, all-in sustaining costs, cash costs, and these are also, there are factors called byproducts or co-products. Very few gold mines are monometallic, i.e. they have production of silver, they have some production of copper. So that's a complicating factor too and adds to the confusion.
It does sound quite overwhelming. So what kind of numbers are we seeing?
Well, as Mickey mentioned, confusing part of the way costs are reported is comparing one company or comparing years within one company. They report often 2, 3, and sometimes 4 different costs. Never mind when you're trying to compare one company with another company. We just don't know what management includes in costs, and it certainly is not consistent from company to company. For instance, we've looked at the big 3 mining companies, Goldcorp, Newmont, and Barrick. And what we see on a cash cost basis over the last 3 or 4 years are numbers ranging anywhere from $400 to $800 per ounce. On an all-in sustaining cost basis for the last 3 years, those numbers range anywhere from $800 to $1,100 an ounce.
That sounds quite robust for an operating margin.
Yeah, and a good example of that is how some of these numbers are reported. This infographic came from an annual report, and it shows the average price of gold for the entire year from sales, and it shows the costs, the cash costs, the all-in or the sustaining costs that are included, and it shows $800 in total costs versus $1,600 average price of gold.
Mickey, your take on it?
Well, in evaluating any company, whether it's mining or not, you generally look at cash margin, operating cost margin. However, in the gold mining industry, we have a couple of complicating factors. And number one, that would be how the cash is used. And number two, how costs are reported. And as I alluded to before, all-in sustaining costs still have a lot of manipulation by the companies.
I see. So are you saying that we need to dig deeper into the cash flows?
As good miners, we always should dig deeper.
Excellent. Well, I look forward to continuing this very interesting discussion with Rod